To your daily dose of dopamine, Susan and I have been talking all about yes and exercise, success stories, bringing up things like Dead Poets Society, Boys of Summer, Third Base, and inherently where we're going as an organization, our nonprofit, yes and exercise, with these things we call success stories with the trademark. One of the things that I was called to do, and you and Karen immediately yes and I was so glad for the reason why success stories are, is our beloved friend John Hurley, who passed away. I felt a calling from him. Several months ago he died, but as we were doing this, I felt him calling out, going, I have something to say, or I need to be part of this. And he was right. And I brought that up just broadly in front of the group, and they big time responded. And then I made the next step to ask his wife, can I take John's writing and make a story that puts him in this? And she just gushed, absolutely. She doesn't know me. She's heard of me through John and all of his work, but we've never met. But she says, you have my approval. So
That's huge.
now the scary thing is, okay, great, you got approval. What are you going to do? Oh no, I don't know, because it's someone else's words, right? And not, I'm
And
not just,
John Hurley.
yeah, I'm not just trying to take his words and say, here's John's story. I'm trying to take the spirit of John as I knew him and tell a story that I think fits within what he would do were he given this opportunity. And it's worth noting too that John struggled with this part of it. He did really well with the more literal writing, actually. Literal within his, even though it was creative within his expression, the idea, it wasn't fully developed or formed of aesthetic distance. He never took a class that did that. And he kind of, I wouldn't say he rejected it, but he kind of said, I don't know what's in that for me. So he supported it in many ways he did. But this is, so I'm doing something that he couldn't quite see. So to that end, um, the story, it involves a piece of his life. He was a naval officer during Vietnam, and he was one of the interesting dichotomies of his life, because to meet him later in life, as we did, you would think, I mean, he's the most peace loving, and I think he was even then.
He was. Yeah.
But it was part of his experience and part of the time. And I've certainly heard it from my dad and other Vietnam vets that, you did it out of duty and honor. And for some people, even the draft. And I don't know if that was the draft was John's story or not, but being an officer, I'm guessing that he, was something he chose to do. But at any rate, so it's like, okay, I'm not going to tell his story exactly, but I immediately started listening, and I could just hear, I knew another big part of his life was transcendental meditation,
Yes, it was.
big part of who he was. And it was part of why he loved improv so much and the way we presented it, because he saw and constantly pointed out principles of Buddhism, meditation within what we're doing that, of course, I've been affected by too, that are there, not because I'm trying to impose them, but they just naturally
Yeah,
fit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I said, I want to tell a story somehow of somebody planting a seed in a young naval officer in a Vietnam
Wow.
spectrum, who is going to be exposed both to Agent Orange, which is going to be the seed that gives him Parkinson's later, and to meditation or these thoughts, which is going to give him his peace for it later. And that's all the story's going to tell. So, it begins with, I started to do a lot of research, and it's been enjoyable and difficult at times too, because it's not always fun to look at. But
Yeah.
so, because he was in the Mekong Delta River area where a lot of those conflicts were. And I never talked to him, and it's really not important to know if he really faced fire or not. He almost certainly did. There were patrol boats, and there were what they called the swift boats, which were the bigger ones. The
Right.
patrol boats were smaller. So I said, okay, his status would have had him on a swift boat, but from a standpoint of of trying to make the story about John and needing to get through the conflict, I go, that would mean like 8 to 12 and all sorts of battle riding. I don't want to ride a big battle, but I said I need to get through something quicker. Patrol boats have 4 people on it, and it's an enlisted, a chief petty officer. So it's not, again, not John. So I'm going to put him on this little boat and get him into a skirmish where immediately 2 of his crew members get killed, and another one runs off into the jungle to try to face the attackers. And John's character, it's not John, Elias Ash, his name is. I love his name. Elias has run the boat aground trying to get away from the firefight, and his seaman beneath officer runs off to fight, and he's trying to get him to come back, but he frees the boat, but he realizes his remaining crew member ran out into the jungle. So he goes out after him,
Mm.
finds him dead. He's been impaled by a trap, and he hears them coming, tries to escape, and falls into a trap. And this is where he's going to go through what he goes through. And it's an
I'm
amazing,
thinking
mostly,
Viktor Frankl.
yeah. It's a psychological journey, but there's physical elements that are true about the war. And he's got I'll say, a shapeshifter of a guide who is a Vietnamese man named Trung, who is in the pit with him, and you know,
Oh,
you,
wow.
he wants to believe that Trung's there to help him, but also he recognizes the dualistic nature of most of the people. Understandably, are we with the U.S. forces or with the VC, and do we shift, which many people did based on their needs?
And do they have a common language?
There is enough English to get by,
Mm-hmm.
but that's the story. And like I say,
Woof.
what floats in is the Agent Orange, which again plants the seed for Parkinson's. We just know that's the Parkinson's part of this story. And the meditation, which instead of picking up the gun to fight his way out, he's going to have to trust in Trung and go through his journey, because he's going to be faced with one thing John wrote really well about, beautifully about, was the demons, right? He had many demons. We talked about facing them. So those demons are going to come on a display for him through, visions and dreams and nightmares and all of this kind of, scope, to where, and the closing of it is that a helicopter he's going to, escape the pit with Trung, and they're going to be in a little village and go through what they go through. And then a helicopter is going to fly by, and he's going to say, I have to go. And there's that piece of, sadness of leaving, but also recognizing he's part of this, naval force, and he needs to get back. And that's the end of the story.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah. But I bring it
Yeah.
up to say this is the journey of a success story, and using aesthetic value, and in this place, the great honor of getting to tell a story after a dear friend has passed, that honors him and grows
That
his
honors him.
legacy.
Yeah. Him. I love the fact that when he's down there, the meditation will help him.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So all of that's there. All of that's part of who we are and what we are. So again, I ask of all of you to do the following. Please go to our website, look under the giving tab. You'll see about this thing called a Sustainer Circle. And we would love for you to join the Sustainer Circle. We're looking for 50 new sustainers by December 31st. We have 3 already, which is great. We have a good start. We need 47 more. We have so many fun things coming up, including we have this great holiday cinema therapy. We have 2 sessions of that where you come and watch clips and just hang out and have cocoa with us, and see how the holidays affect us through these wonderful films. We have a poker tournament, a virtual poker tournament. Everyone gets to play with Slick Phil, aka my dad, his poker nicknames, and contribute to Boys of Summer, and getting that to Phoenix in May. And we are ongoing, of course, have our Jam for Joy. And so there's every Tuesday and Thursday. So we hope you'll become a sustaining member, which allows you to come to all up to 8, maybe more, Jam for Joys a month. You can transfer those to others. You can give those classes to people so they can come. It's just a tremendous benefit. And I hope, again, this isn't just for people with Parkinson's. This is for everybody to recognize how it can impact and make your life better. Anything you want to add to that, Susan?
Oh, um, I'm just picturing the calendar and the stories and it being a real thing. And that's actually been quite motivational to a number of the other people who success stories are will be part of that calendar. And it's we've been working with you with this for a long time, and you've been saying get your stories out there, and it's a way that it's going to happen. So there's a pride in that, and then I love the way it's structured. That there's you can give a gift and then just do fun things with us, like the Christmas thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's who we are. We know Christmas is a time of sadness and isolation for a lot of people. We want to make sure to say once again, we're a beacon of light in the dark storm, and come inside. Come have an hour or 90 minutes of joy and community with us. Cost you nothing. I guarantee we'll have more than you think in that space too.
That is really a fun thing that we do. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, that's it. What a wonderful session. Thanks so much, everybody. Join us on the next Daily Dose. We'll see you soon.